The glittering lights of Hollywood often project an illusion of predictability, a carefully scripted narrative where love stories begin with cinematic spark and end either in lifelong devotion or dramatic, headline-grabbing fallout. For decades, the public has consumed these celebrity narratives like clockwork, conditioned to expect a certain rhythm to the rise and fall of high-profile romances. We watch them meet on red carpets, celebrate decades of milestones under the relentless glare of paparazzi cameras, and eventually, more often than not, release structured, publicist-penned statements announcing the definitive end of an era. It is a familiar cycle that the public understands intimately, a formulaic breakdown of human connection that fits neatly into gossip columns and evening entertainment news segments. Yet every so often, a story emerges from the heart of the entertainment industry that completely defies these rigid boundaries, challenging everything we think we know about modern relationships, devotion, and the true meaning of a lifelong partnership. It forces us to look past the sensationalized headlines and question whether the conventional rules of romance and separation are entirely outdated in the modern world. If you want to stay updated on the most captivating, rule-breaking stories from the world of entertainment and celebrity culture, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. The unfolding narrative of two prominent figures in American cinema is currently doing exactly that, quietly rewriting the rulebook on how two people transition away from a traditional marriage while remaining deeply, inexplicably bound to one another. For nearly 2 decades, actors Jason Biggs and Jenny Mollen were viewed as one of the most stable, relatable, and delightfully eccentric couples in the industry, navigating the chaotic waters of fame with a shared sense of humor and unwavering mutual support. Their journey began in the late 2000s, a time when both were carving out distinct paths in Hollywood, and over the course of an 18-year marriage, they built a life filled with creative collaboration, public candor, and the immense responsibility of raising 2 young sons in the public eye. When news of their sudden separation first began to ripple through the media landscape just a short time ago, the collective reaction was one of genuine shock and immediate speculation. As fans and commentators scrambled to figure out what could have possibly dismantled such a seemingly indestructible bond. The initial announcements carried the usual dignified tone expected of contemporary celebrity splits, noting that the decision was mutual and that they remained on excellent terms. However, as the weeks have turned into months, the true nature of their post-split reality has proven to be infinitely more complex, fascinating, and emotionally layered than anyone could have anticipated from those brief initial statements. Instead of the typical icy distance or polite estrangement that characterizes the vast majority of high-profile divorces, this former couple has been observed navigating the bustling streets of New York City in a manner that looks less like a painful dissolution and much more like a profound ongoing intimacy. Observers and fans alike have been left utterly bewildered by sightings of the pair walking arm in arm, locked in deep, comfortable conversation, and demonstrating a level of physical and emotional closeness that completely blurs the lines between ex-spouses and current partners. It is a spectacle that subverts the entire concept of a traditional breakup, leaving the public to wonder how 2 people can announce the end of an 18-year marriage while simultaneously appearing to be just as connected, if not more so, than they were during the height of their legal union. This baffling dynamic has sparked a massive conversation about the evolving nature of long-term commitment, co-parenting under immense scrutiny, and whether the end of a marriage truly signifies the end of a grand romance. As the public tries to make sense of these seemingly contradictory signals, the couple themselves has begun to open up, offering glimpses into a post-separation world that is as surreal as it is deeply touching. They are proving that behind the glitz of Hollywood and the harsh finality of legal documents lies a deeply human story of 2 best friends who refuse to let conventional societal expectations dictate how they love, support, and protect one another through life's most turbulent transitions. The shockwaves that reverberated through the entertainment world following the announcement of their separation were not just born out of surprise, but out of a deep public investment in a couple that always seemed to operate on a completely different wavelength than the rest of Hollywood. Jason Biggs, who rose to global fame as the endearing and hilariously relatable Jim Levinstein in the wildly successful American Pie franchise, had found his ultimate match in Jenny Mollen, an actress and author known for her razor-sharp wit, uncompromising honesty, and fiercely independent spirit. From the moment they met on the set of the comedy film my best friend's girl back in 2008, their connection was instantaneous and undeniably intense, leading to an elopement just 4 months after their engagement. For 18 years, they shared everything with their audience, transforming their marriage into an open book filled with raw, unfiltered glimpses of marital challenges, parenting triumphs, and a unique comedic shorthand that defined their public identity. To see a bond forged so deeply over nearly 2 decades suddenly transition into a formal separation after 18 months of private contemplation left the public desperately seeking answers. Yet, the answers emerging from their new reality are far more nuanced than a simple story of a love grown cold, revealing instead a profound restructuring of an unbreakable human connection. Rather than retreating into separate lives behind a wall of high-priced public relations representatives and legal teams, Jason and Jenny have chosen to step directly into their new chapter with an unprecedented degree of visibility and emotional transparency. This choice was vividly on display during a recent afternoon in New York City, an encounter that captured the attention of onlookers and perfectly illustrated the extraordinarily blurred lines of their current relationship. Walking down the crowded sidewalks just weeks after confirming their split to the world, the former couple looked entirely indistinguishable from a pair deeply in love, moving companionably and effortlessly in tandem. Jenny was seen clutching tightly to her ex-husband's arm, leaning into his presence with a familiarity that can only be built over decades of shared history. While a stoic and supportive Jason held her hand firmly as they navigated their conversation. The depth of their bond and the visceral nature of their ongoing commitment to one another became even more apparent during a startling moment later that same afternoon. Following an alfresco lunch at a local restaurant, the actor was suddenly taken ill, experiencing an unexpected bout of severe indigestion that left him visibly distressed and resting his head heavily on a wooden cabinet on the street. In that moment of vulnerability, there was no hesitation, no awkward distance, and no reliance on assistants or handlers. Instead, Jenny immediately stepped in to comfort and soothe her former husband, demonstrating a protective, nurturing instinct that defied the very definition of a legal separation. This striking scene provided a powerful visual testament to what Jenny would later describe as a relationship that remains fundamentally romantic, even if it no longer fits into the traditional box that society insists on placing it in. In an incredibly candid and highly anticipated conversation on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, she pulled back the curtain on this surreal new existence, offering a raw and deeply moving explanation of how two people can legally untie the knot while remaining completely intertwined. She insisted to the host that, despite the formal end of their marriage, the love between them had not diminished in the slightest, describing their current dynamic as a different type of romance altogether. It is a romance stripped of traditional expectations, but reinforced by an absolute unbreakable foundational friendship. A state of being where they still love each other fiercely and maintain a relationship that she proudly characterizes as entirely solid. For Jenny, the transition has been a bizarre and surreal experience, a sentiment she acknowledges with her trademark humor, noting that when people anxiously ask her how the split feels, her honest answer is simply that it feels exactly the same. This lack of a dramatic shift stems from the reality of their daily lives, which are completely dominated by the continuous, hyper-connected management of their household and the shared raising of their 2 young sons, 12-year-old Sid and 8-year-old Lazio. The former couple currently resides in 2 separate living spaces, a physical boundary that would signify a definitive end for most relationships, but for them, it functions merely as a geographical detail in an otherwise unified life. They find themselves fundamentally tethered by their children, a reality that translates into communicating 18 times a day to coordinate complex school schedules, after-school activities, upcoming holidays, and the endless logistics of modern parenting. This constant high-volume communication completely eliminates the possibility of the clean, distant break that defines standard divorces, where individuals part ways with a final goodbye and hope to casually bump into each other a decade down the line. Instead, they remain active, primary fixtures in each other's daily existence, operating not as estranged exes navigating a hostile custody arrangement, but as an elite, fiercely loyal team that refuses to let their personal evolution disrupt the sanctuary they have built for their family. This level of dedication was further proven on a deeply personal milestone just days after their public announcement, when Jenny was front and center to celebrate Jason's 48th birthday alongside their children. proving that family traditions remain entirely sacred. Sources close to the family have reaffirmed this extraordinary connection, emphasizing that there is absolutely no doubt the pair will remain on excellent terms indefinitely because their future is entirely built around the collective well-being of their sons. Yet, this highly unconventional arrangement inevitably raises profound, lingering questions that extend far beyond the borders of Hollywood, challenging the broader cultural understanding of love and friendship. Can two people truly maintain this level of intense, daily emotional intimacy and physical closeness as ex-partners without overcomplicating their lives? Or are they pioneering a beautiful new model of conscious uncoupling that the rest of the world has yet to fully comprehend? To truly understand the depth of the singular path Jason Biggs and Jenny Mollen are carving through the wilderness of a modern public separation, one must look back at the foundational years that forged this resilient alliance. Their journey together did not begin with the calculated strategy of a Hollywood power couple, but rather with a shared sense of irreverence and an immediate recognition of kindred spirits on the set of their 2008 film. When they eloped to Napa Valley just 4 months after getting engaged, surrounding themselves with a tiny group of only 40 of their closest friends and family members, they were already signaling to the world that they had no intention of following anyone else's script. Over the subsequent 17 years of marriage, they did not just live together, they co-authored a public narrative defined by a brilliant, often chaotic transparency that endeared them to millions of fans who looked up to them as the epitome of marital authenticity. They celebrated their 17th wedding anniversary just a short year ago with a characteristically hilarious and deeply affectionate joint social post showcasing their silliest, most unvarnished moments together. An archive of a life built on a foundation of profound joy and unyielding mutual respect. It is precisely because their history is so rich, so public, and so deeply rooted in an authentic friendship that their current transition feels less like a tragic ending and much more like a natural, albeit highly unconventional, evolution of a lifelong partnership. By choosing to redefine their romance rather than extinguish it, they are tackling one of the most difficult questions any long-term couple can face, which is how to honor the immense love and history you share with someone when the traditional structure of a marriage no longer serves the personal growth of either individual. The answer they have found lies in an absolute refusal to let resentment, legal formalities, or societal expectations dictate the terms of their ongoing relationship. Instead, they have elevated the concept of co-parenting from a mere legal obligation to a high-stakes, deeply cooperative art form, ensuring that their two young sons, Sid and Lazio, remain anchored in an environment of absolute stability, humor, and overwhelming love. Their daily reality of talking 18 times a day to manage the frantic logistics of school, after-school activities, and family holidays is not a chore born out of necessity, but a testament to a deliberate choice to remain an active, unified front in the lives of their children and in each other's hearts. This extraordinary level of daily communication and emotional support completely flips the script on the conventional, painful architecture of divorce, proving that it is entirely possible to dismantle a marriage without destroying the sacred family unit that was built within its walls. As they step boldly into this uncharted territory, moving forward into separate living spaces but remaining completely tethered by their shared history and mutual devotion, Jason and Jenny are providing a powerful, deeply moving example for couples everywhere. They are showing the world that the end of a legal contract does not have to mean the end of a grand, sweeping romance, provided that romance is built on the unbreakable bedrock of a profound, enduring best friendship. Their story challenges all of us to rethink our rigid definitions of closure and separation, urging a more compassionate, flexible, and